What is up, my friends? Alien Romulus is a brand new film from director Fede Álvarez, starring Cailee Spaeny, David Jonsson, and Isabela Merced, bringing the Alien franchise back to the big screen for the first time in over 7 years. And as a self-proclaimed massive fan of this franchise, I've been very much anticipating this movie. But the question that I had going into it was, how will it hold up amongst the greats of like Alien and Aliens? And my friends, we've got a lot to talk about. So hit the like button, you cowards, and then subscribe if you're new here, and let's dive in. So off the top, I'm talking spoilers, so that's just a heads up. But Alien Romulus is finally here. The synopsis reads, space colonizers come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe while scavenging the deep ends of the derelict space station. And I'm not gonna lie, that's enticing. We got a new movie in the same old franchise, and then you add in some fresh acid blood into the mix with Fede Álvarez. Evil Dead fans and Don't Breathe fans can understand my excitement when I saw that he was announced. This guy just gets horror, and as I learned more and more about this movie and as it went into production, I just kind of got more and more confident. Obviously, we love Ridley Scott. I love what he's done for this franchise, I really do, but franchises usually operate best when, you know, you take a chance, you switch things up, and you let someone else take a shot. But I was really excited about just how I was feeling when I was walking out of this movie. My initial thoughts were that this movie actually does belong next to Alien and Aliens and Prometheus and Covenant. It fits in, and it's top-notch in quality, and it does that by mixing together everything that's come before it, while at the same time taking some huge swings. You have 2 acts of this film that feel very familiar, but then the 3rd act smacks you in the freaking face with some crazy shit. And for some people, maybe it wasn't exactly what you were looking for, but guess what? Not this guy. I absolutely loved it. And, you know, I think this film is going to make a lot of the fans of this franchise very happy. I do. And I also think it's going to bring a lot of new fans to these movies while also setting the table for so much more. Like it does. It sets up the possibility of a future. Like I said, there's some stuff that undoubtedly will create some division, but nothing is ever perfect. For me, it all just came down to the feel of this film. There was terrifying horror. Fede is really great at some of these like jump scares and just using sound to his advantage. There were so many moments in this that are just, they're silent until they're not, like the score completely cuts out, and it terrified me in new and unique ways, and also some of the same ways, but like enhanced. Like there's this character Navarro, right? And something's starting to come out of her chest, and you know what's coming out of her chest. But it was so visceral, and it scared me in a similar way as the first film when I watched it as a kid. And then the action starts, and there's all of these crazy set pieces that are akin to Aliens. And so it's basically just playing the hits, and it felt like it belonged in this franchise because it starts straight away. When you're sitting there, the movie starts, it's silent in space with white text scrolling credits, and then we see a ship floating in space, and you're just transported right back to that world. And we get onto that ship, and they're unhatching this xenomorph, and I'm thinking it's the one from the end of the first movie that floats away, and it looks like it's kind of still alive, but like they're collecting that as a specimen, and they're bringing it onto the ship, and you're like, okay, cool, setup. Then Alien Romulus, and it gets really interesting. We cut to this colony that's being terraformed, and you know, it's rare for this franchise to show kind of what casual life looks like for humans at this point. And they're walking the streets, and there's even like a bar sign, the same bar sign from Alien, so it makes you feel like you're a part of this universe, but we're introduced to this new batch of characters. And as for the characters, let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. I honestly, I enjoyed most of the performances in this film. You got Tyler, played by Archie Renaux, and he was great. Like, they were all great. I guess my standouts would have to be, obviously, Cailee Spaeny. She was just this young girl looking for the sun, and she's not a hero. She just does what she has to do in whatever situation she's put in, you know? They didn't make it all crazy. Like, she's this crazy stunt girl, and she's doing backflips, and watch this. Like, her performance was stellar. It really was. I hope we see more of her in the future. Like, I hope we have more spin-offs with her character. But then we have Isabela Merced. Is it Isabella? Isabela Merced as Kay, who has just a crazy arc in this film. I'm actually going to get to it a little bit later in this video, but I guess my MVP when it comes to the characters was David Jonsson as Andy. And the standout is always the synthetic, man. It really is. This guy is a cross between Ash and David and Walter, and he also gets to play 2 parts in this film. Like, I loved the innocence of the bumbling Andy who Rain kind of takes care of, and then you morph that with the Wayland tech director resurrected, you know, he gets his chip modified and all that, and you just see how much of an influence the programmer still has on this world. And Andy's character, just like David in Prometheus and Alien Covenant, just like Ash in Alien, kind of drives that plot. As soon as Andy gets his chip kind of changed, all of a sudden things take a much more ominous turn. You know what I mean? And I just freaking loved that contrast. Like when he's the Andy that's Rain's brother, you can see the life in his eyes. And then all of a sudden you can't. Fucking brilliant storytelling. I love that. And I also love the influence that is had on him from the other films, but specifically Prometheus and Covenant. Like, you should watch those before you watch this, just in an effort to pay attention to canon. Like, I love all the Wayland talk and then tying it into Ash. You know, you bring back Sir Ian Holm. That was crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way they're gonna do it. Oh my gosh, they did it! Oh man, that CGI looks really terrible though. You went practical with everything else, and then you just couldn't make like a robot, like a practical face of his. You had to do the deep fake. Okay. But luckily, that didn't ruin the movie for me, because the character plays a solid part in expanding the overall story, you know? We're not just watching him talk the whole time, and I was thinking it was Ash, and I was trying to connect the dots in my head, but they say his name, I think his name was like Rook or something like that, so this is clearly a different synthetic, but that has the same mission programmed into him. But I will say there was a lot of that in this film that kind of just was confusing me. I was trying to think of the other films and what came where, like the ship renaissance that they get onto. For whatever reason, I was thinking it was the ship at the end of Alien Covenant that David, like, puts all of the stuff in the pods and sends it away. Like, was that the same ship? I don't know. They're trying to harvest this stuff, so that's kind of the thing that I got. But maybe I'm way off there. Let me know down in the comments if you think I am. But all that aside, I do want to mention just the practical effects. And I don't get why more movies aren't doing this, and I think that movie studios should take note of films like this. Because these xenomorphs were insane, man. Like, genuinely insane. The face huggers as well, and all of the sets were awesome. And when it was time to use CGI, whether it be acid floating in the air or like massive sweeping shots of space, it works. They nail it, aside from Ian Holm's face. But I'd also say the score was beautiful. Benjamin Wallfisch, he composed it, and I gotta say, he's standing shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Jerry Goldsmith and James Horner. Like, it was a beautiful score. The sound design all around was great. Like I mentioned, the quiet parts, the loud parts, it was a very eerie and well-constructed film. It was also well written, with cleverly timed lines like Andy saying, "Get away from her, you bitch." And I was confused because I was like the only person in my theater who audibly laughed out loud when that happened. I think just nobody caught it from Aliens, but I was like, hey, he said the line. But really, make or break with this film, it just comes down to the horror, the gore, and the surprises, and the aliens. And most of the good stuff coming back to her is with Isabela Merced. She makes her mark on this movie with her reaction to Navarro's chest breaking open, and she just screams this like terrifying scream. And then her tense scene hiding from the xenomorph in the hangar, and then to the third act where she literally gives birth to a human xenomorph hybrid, and I can't even imagine reading that script. You're like, I'm doing what now? But also talk about a big swing from Fede Álvarez. You have this giant Prometheus-looking Xeno dude battling Ray, and I was all in because it was unique, just like the acid killing the douchey guy with the headband earlier on in the film. That was unique. It going through his chest. That's what's fun about franchises. I know these days everybody's kind of making fun of IP and they're like, everything's just the same, but movies like this are fun because it is the same, because you feel that nostalgia. And it's fun when you have a new installment and you have that nostalgia and it's done right, and then you see where it takes you. And this movie did a solid job at rehashing some of the iconic similar story beats that we all crave. But then Fede said also, man, baby, alien, let's freaking go. Romulus was intense, it was bloody, it was kind of milky, it was like acidic, it was also crazy, and it was alien. And now we just need a sequel. But as for my Jones Vibe star rating, my friends, I'm giving Alien Romulus 4 out of 5 stars. No doubt. But if you've seen this movie, head down to the comments and let me know what you thought about Alien Romulus. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button before you head out. Subscribe, and don't forget to keep up the good vibes, my friends. Peace!